All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody that's here, and welcome. I am Katie Shaner, and on behalf of us all here at Advance2000, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. This is our inaugural event of our new monthly webinar series, and we're very excited that you're here. Before we begin, I've got a few quick housekeeping items to cover off on. This session is being recorded and will be sent out to each of you after the event. We will have time for Q&A at the end of today's discussion, so please feel free to drop any of your questions in the chat at any time throughout the webinar. Let's get started. So for more than 34 years, Advance2000 has evolved from a traditional IT provider into the forward-thinking private cloud computing and managed services company that we are today. Built on a foundation of innovation, reliability, and partnership with our clients. Today's conversation really brings that journey full circle. We're going to dive into the purpose and vision that's driving our continued innovation with our CEO, Brian Moad. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Jeff Talent, my fellow Advance2000 colleague, who will be leading this conversation with Brian. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks, Katie. It's great to be here for everybody.
Yes, just maybe you can tell us about your background. I know Jess is
sure.
in the military.
Yeah, I was active duty Army. I was a medic from 2010 to 2018. After that, I took a position with the Buffalo VA Hospital. I was enrollment and eligibility there for about a year, and then I went into human resources where I have stayed. I was HR for the VA from 2019 to 2023. I accepted a position back with the Army as civilian HR in 2023, and I stayed with them until this past September when I started here. And I was fortunate enough to become a part of our team. I do have a master's in human resource management, and that's about it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Joe, maybe you want to talk about yourself? I know that Joe's a moderator as well. But...
Oh, go ahead,
yes.
Brian. Why don't you go right ahead, Brian?
Well, first I want to thank everybody that joined, and I'm excited to answer any questions and share with you completely transparently everything, what we're trying to do and who we are and why we do what we do. Jess and Joe actually have prepared a list of questions that they're going to be asking me, and I welcome your questions as well. Joe, Jess, if you want to move forward with your questions, that would be great.
Sure, Brian. We'll just go ahead and start at the beginning. So where did your idea for Advance2000 come from?
You know, interestingly, I have both my dad and my mom, and none of them were entrepreneurs. My dad's a doctor, and he worked very hard. One thing about me, for whatever reason, I didn't follow both my family, my parents. I was always a very independent type of guy. I've always ran on my own drum. I value my independence all the time since my early childhood. And one of the traits that I don't even know where I got this trait is I never liked people that were bullies, and I bullied other people. I've always sided in the side of people that are being harmed. So I don't like injustices. So if somebody was being bullied, I came to their help, and perhaps that's why I got into martial arts and kept myself healthy and in shape. But that's one of the traits that drove me to just do whatever I wanted to do, which is Advance2000. And Advance2000 at the time, and back in when I started the company in 1989, people were struggling with computers. People didn't know how to integrate computers into their daily routine. They honestly did not know. And So I figured I'm going to help them with that because I always like to help. I really like to help. That's what drives me each and every single day. So that helping became my purpose. And everything I do today is driven, by this helping philosophy, and working against, bigger monopolies that perhaps I look at them as bullies, and so on. So that's really how, I started Advance, or any business. Like, there was a business that we owned, was a logistics business, and it was a great business because I felt I was helping. And so when you feel like you're doing something that you feel you're driven by purposely, it's no longer work. And it's that simple.
Yeah. So
Hey, Jess, if I can just jump in for a moment.
yeah,
Brian, what were your
yeah.
conditions when you started Advance2000? Did you raise venture capital money? Did you take out a loan? What was it like when you started the company?
Yeah, that's interesting, Joe. I was a very poor guy. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a single. In fact, I had a little bit of student loan. I worked, studied at school, paid my own college. It's like some. So I did not have any money. It was a brick. It was a brick by brick approach. It was I started, honestly. I printed out flyers, and I was going door to door handing out flyers. And eventually, and there was a lot of challenges with that because, I was trying to compete against people that were very well established, that had perhaps they had a lot of capital, big corporations like IBM that had their big brand name, or Dell, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So those were very difficult. So yeah, I did not have any capital. So everything at Advance has been built totally organically with our funds that we've generated. So everything we generate as revenue at Advance, we go back and reinvest in the company. But over time, that becomes substantial. Today, we are the company we are, serving, going from a basement to serving both the entire U.S. and Canada, and having overseas presence.
It's amazing. So aside from, I guess, just starting from nowhere, working and establishing all of this, what are some of the other challenges? I know obviously the beginning it was funding, but
well, when you don't have any money, and convincing people, I look at some of the smart people that work for us today, and I just can't imagine going back, when I started trying to convince people, including people like yourself or Joe or Katie, and to come and believe in the value and the mission that I'm trying to do. So at the beginning, I couldn't hire the right talent because I didn't have the capital. I also was not a very good, perhaps business. I'm an engineer. I'll talk a little bit about my background. I'm an electrical engineer, and I did not go to a finance. I didn't, learn finance very well. So I learned that, as I went along, and so yeah, convincing people to come and work for you that had any level of talent was difficult. But as you grow and you continue building up, and we are organically, we're a very successful company.
Right.
Now we can afford great talent, and that's, so now we look at people and we hire them based on their talent and on other characteristics. So starting a business from scratch is a daily struggle. Even today, we are still struggling daily. So.
Right, because even though you've started building that trust, you have to maintain that trust, and that's where you've helped grow everybody in the company.
Yeah, I mean, maintaining, it's as you get better, people sometimes think they can be complacent, and the reality, the type of business we're in, which is technology, complacency is not an option. So if you don't continue to reinvent yourself and continue to figure out how to improve yourself, then I've seen in many many employees that work for us today work for larger companies that actually went nowhere and went out of business. And the reasons, and it's sad because you see some of these companies that could have been something great, and actually became a shell of who they are, a shell of who they were before, and it's because they basically did not continue to improve themselves, and
Right.
dropped out of that principle.
Hey, Brian,
don't-
let's talk dollars and cents here. Were you profitable right off the bat? What were the first couple of years like for you?
Yeah, it's funny you're asking this, Joe. I think the first year I made like maybe $4,000, literally, back then. I think the first year is I made $4,000, and I was not looking at money. It's kind of strange as to be. I was looking to follow what I wanted to do. And again, I ran on my own drum. I've known a lot of friends of mine that end up just chasing money. And so I'm going to get a job that's going to provide me this much money. So I'm going to jump over here and all that. I could have done that, but I was literally following what I wanted to do, which is my independence, fighting what I believe in, which is my purpose of helping and so on. So doing all these things, eventually, if you continue working hard and believing in those things, money will take care of itself.
Yeah. How did you decide? Because IT is such a vast field, right? How did you decide which technological trends to start to innovate, and where you were like, this is where my focus is going to be?
Yeah, in any business, and I tell this to anybody who's on the audience, any business that you're in, you really have to learn how to pivot. So I remember that word, pivot. So if you're in the business of if you're in the business, whatever business, you got to learn how to pivot. So one of the things that perhaps, I don't know, again, I was been a little bit gifted with, I was able to foresee technological trends. I wasn't necessarily able to take advantage of them from a business standpoint as I could have. So I was able to foresee technological trends and trying to pivot the business towards these trends in advance. And I also always listen to my clients. I try to listen to clients of what they want. And I've made that as the reason why we innovate. So there's a lot of innovation that came out of our company that's all related to the client's struggles. And you try to have that empathy, put yourself in their shoes, notice these struggles. Here's how I'm going to try to fix that. So as you're looking at that portion, at the same time looking at trends or foreseeing trends, which for whatever reason came naturally to me. I predicted this AI thing like 5 years ago. And I think I told a lot of our sales staff at one time, over 5 years ago, I told them there's going to be this thing, AI and robotics and this. I think they probably were looking at me, what the heck is this guy talking about? But so there's a lot of these type of things that I was, I kind of foresaw. Just because I'm hands-on with the technology and also listening to clients and seeing, so I kind of, not everything that I got to say, not everything I basically, in my mind, trended came to fruition, but I'd say a lot of them did.
So, how did you find your balance with innovation and reliability? Just by, and I know you anticipated a lot of, with your experience, anticipated what their needs would be and where the growth was going, and what potential, hurdles you were going to have to come to. But where do you balance that innovation and reliability?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in the business of technology. You have to basically be allowed to make mistakes. If you're not allowed to make mistakes, you'll never innovate anything. You'll never innovate anything. I tell a lot of my colleagues, some of them say, well, this is going to be perfect. It can't, being in technology, you're really managing chaos. I said it not too recently to some of my colleagues. So you're basically, you got to be allowed mistakes. But at the same time, you do recognize a lot of your clients, their businesses heavily depend on the outcomes and the stuff that you're doing. So because they depend on that stuff, you also have to measure multiple times before you move forward. And some of these measurements of multiple times, for anytime we can, what I'd like to do is we'd like to get the customers to participate in our like a beta or testing process, and then work out as much possible the bugs. And we're not the only one that does that. Microsoft, in fact, releases things every day that have bugs in them. But they can get away with it much easier because they're Microsoft or Azure or AWS. So we get our customer to basically help us in this testing process, and we weed out as much of these things so we become reliable enough, or where it's not going to cause a complete disaster. So we have to measure twice, cut once, and have backup plans if there are issues. So it is a definitely juggling act.
Yeah, for sure.
Brian, if I can slip in a question here, one of the most incredible transitions I saw you undertake was going from being a builder of PCs and servers to being a cloud services provider. And my recollection was you were about, let's see, 20 or so years into your business as a PC builder. And then you made this massive pivot and built your own data center and started delivering cloud services, which has been what you've been doing for the last 15 years. So 20 years building PCs, 15 years building cloud services. Few companies make such a big pivot like that. To Jess's question about, like, how did you have the confidence knowing that you could reliably go from being a PC builder to a cloud services provider?
Joe, it's a great question again. And so when we just, as an engineer, I don't like inefficiencies at all. So building PCs, not only that, they were becoming a commodity, and realizing even so I'm driven by purpose, helping people, I still have to make money to pay the great people that work for our company. We still gotta make money to pay everybody's salaries. So it's a balance between these two. You have to make the hard decisions. So when we were selling PCs, we were selling them to businesses, IT managers and so on. And doing that pivot, like I go back to pivoting to the cloud, I realized that the cloud's going to be a much more efficient way and much better for the customer himself, even so they won't recognize it. What I do find myself, which is hysterical today, is trying to convince clients to do what's best for their business. They don't know. They think they're doing. Oh no, we're going to build this into. They don't realize it. They can't build the stuff internally. So I figured there's a better way to have customers be able to run their business far more efficiently. So I took on building our cloud, and it was a massive investment and a risk. But again, if you're driven by great purpose and you put that ahead of just simply making money and doing the right things, money will eventually take care of itself. So it was, again, a brick by brick approach, step by step approach. And today we are, one of the leading, if not the leading, private cloud provider in the country, competing against the Azure and AWS alike. And honestly, if as a business owner, if I can put another business owner in my shoes and show them the value that they get with our services, it's a slam dunk. So we're even today ahead of our time the way we do things that than a typical MSP, which many of them struggle because they are still managing like an old antique car by doing things on site, and which is not for the benefit of the customer. So yeah, it just basically is just a decision. You have to pivot, or you'll eventually become an antique. You become like the typewriter at the time where that kind of stuff.
Right. Not be afraid of adapting and evolving and growing.
You
Growing.
have to. I do want to point out, Jess. Sorry, I'm going to.
No, you're okay.
A lot of people are afraid of change. This change is not driven by, even like, for example, some of our employees are probably afraid of change, but this change is not driven by Advance2000. It's driven by Advance2000 for the purpose of helping our employees and our customers. So if we don't change, and I have the analogy to tell people, we're on this boat together. If we don't change with the thing, we will be the typewriter repair person.
Right.
And so you have to do that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was going to talk about because you had mentioned how rapidly we're growing nationally, but just not even that, because of that growth and that ambition that you have for the company. Now you've got a global reach as well. Advance2000 is not just an American name.
Well, we love it to be American made. It's all made. We do have a global
American name.
Okay, thank you. So
it's. I mean, we're in Canada now, Romania. So
yes, we've got Canada, Romania, Armenia. We're trying to expand our abilities and the way we deliver our services and all that kind of stuff. So all to benefit the client.
Mm-hmm. And what qualities do you value most when we're hiring people, when we're bringing people into the company? What qualities and values are you really looking for to bring in to help continue that growth?
Well, you have to get people that are problem solvers. I look for people that are going to solve problems. Now, you're not going to sit around and wait for the problem to be solved for them. I want them to run and solve the problem. So if they solve the problem, they like solving problems, and they solved problems in the past, then those are the people that I would love to have in our organization.
And not just waiting for the problems.
And obviously,
but looking for them.
Skill set as well. The skill set, the problem solving and their skill set, those are the people we'd love to have. So I look at those traits. They solved problems, failed, and came back and always drove it to the end where they succeeded at the end. Those
perfect. Yeah, it's important.
Can I just ask another question there, Jess? So in terms of your team, Brian, I've noticed your teams are really high performing. How would you describe your management style and what really keeps the heartbeat of your company going?
So, I do like people that solve problems. I mean, my management style is trust. We have part of our core values is trust. So I honor people. I give them complete trust, where I give them complete control over certain areas, and show them our vision, and and then measure and try to mentor them to basically, if needed, to basically be able to be more successful than I could in that position. So I'm always looking at people better than me in that position, and trust them and listen to them. That would be how I, my management style. I also, a lot of times in many organizations, people like to whether gatekeep or control, and that is something that has no place in our company. So I look at the people that are willing to trust others and just let them do what, and then help them along the way. So I don't know if is that what you were asking, Joe?
Yeah, basically, right? I mean, because I've noticed the company is a really high performance company. You run a really
Right.
well-tuned engine. And I'm just wondering if you can share with people, like, how you're able to do it. I've worked for a lot of companies myself, but I've never seen a company that's this high performing and that well motivated to sort of work together.
Right.
That's interesting. So I mean, jump in on the motivation. If you do hire people that believe in the same value and missions that you believe in, if you do hire people that really also are driven by helping, which is my purpose and all that kind of stuff. So it becomes not a job for them, and you don't really have to motivate them because they're self-motivated. You just got to let them know. You got to remind them where we're heading, and so that drives performance. And I've seen it in many organizations. When a manager sits there and gives orders, um, while he's sitting there, it is kind of, in my eyes, it's hypocritical. So when you are the manager or the leader of an organization, you have to really lead by example. You have to, in my opinion, and I do it to drive it down to my colleagues. So you got to lead by example, be the guy that rolls his sleeve and helps people. I mean, I get calls from anybody that, Brian, I need help with this, and I'll jump in and help. So you got to drive that, and that drives high performance. I've seen times where on the weekend I went in there and there was a new colleague working on our knock, and he saw me running wires on the weekend. He was very surprised that I'm the CEO doing this kind of stuff. And I told him, yeah, I just do it. And it just builds that level of respect that you are willing to do what everyone else is willing to do. And so now everybody else, becomes that type of attitude and performance becomes ingrained in everyone else. So
Excellent. So where do you hope to see, right? Like where do you want Advance2000 to start moving in the next 5 years? What are your hopes? Like where do you see this going?
So we, Advance2000, is going to continue to innovate. Advance2000 is going to continue to find solutions to help our client, listen to them. So we're going to continue doing this, and I'm going to continue driving our colleagues at work for us to continue to learn, because it is a very exciting trend. There's a lot of new technologies coming into play. Talk about AI, cybersecurity,
yeah,
and all these type of things. And so we, and those are all threats to our clients. So I want to continue to look at ways to making our clients' experience better and continue to innovate this way. And again, by listening to them is a great thing. So, listening to them strategically, there's listening to their problems and listening to them strategically, which we're still continuing to find ways to do it where we're actually much more attuned with the client's needs. So that's what I see. So we're going to continue doing the same thing we were doing prior, not pivoting if necessary, looking at what clients need, innovating, not being complacent. And those are the things that, I owe it to our clients, I owe it to the employees that work at Advance2000. And if we don't do that, then we will become like those large companies that sometimes some of my colleagues work for, where they became a shadow of themselves.
Right. What advice do you have for, someone like yourself, someone that just is starting from the ground up, looking back on those challenges, anything you would change, anything that you would give them guidance like, hey, this is going to happen,
Yes.
how to just keep moving forward?
Yes. So, in our, there's a lot of people that always want to start a business. I even had engineers that just were, oh, I'm going to go start my own business. They end up failing. And I'm not saying, um, that, I always encourage people to go start their business, any business they want to start.
Right.
And the thing about starting a business, it is a long, hard journey that a lot of people underestimate completely, because it is not a journey that's just single threaded. It's definitely multifaceted, multi-threaded type of journey. And be prepared to fail many, many times. And you have to accept failure, and you have to work very hard. Otherwise, if you don't accept failures and turn around and make successes afterward, then you're going to go out of business. So I always tell people, I had to speak to a group of students at the University of Buffalo. I said, success is a series of failure overcome. So you gotta continue driving forward. If you fail, you adjust. You pivot until you become successful. And you have to be able to have the guts to do that, and which includes sacrificing your income and everything else. So, if like today, as a company, we're going to be doing we are doing massive investment. We continue doing massive investments and stuff. And those investments are not a guarantee that we're going to be successful unless we continue driving them forward. And even with that, sometimes you can have failure. So I tell people to work hard and expect these type of things. I mean, you look at today. If you look at today, there's a lot of emerging technologies like AI and cybersecurity, which I talked about.
Right.
Which, by the way, a lot of companies have to take very seriously. AI could be very helpful or could be very harmful to their business. We know cybersecurity, if not taken seriously, is going to be very harmful to their business. We've seen it
Right.
To many customers because today's cyber world, and a lot of people don't know this. They think there's a hacker sitting in the basement trying to hack them because they want to hold them ransom. But in reality, those people are mostly are people that are say guys, it could be females too, that are predominantly financed and sponsored by enemies of our country, trying to basically hack people.
Yeah.
Brian, if I can just add on to that question, if you were your 25-year-old self again, starting the company today, would you do the same thing?
Yeah.
Would you go into cloud services? What would you do if you were a 25-year-old and you really wanted to start your own business and keep your own freedom? If you had the same motivation you had when you were 25, what would you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I probably would have learned business a little bit sooner in my career. As being an engineer, so that would be one change that I wouldn't be doing a single thing different. I would probably I would want I'm me as a manager. I'm very tolerant for people making mistakes, and I'm saying I wouldn't be tolerant, but I would hopefully I would have probably raised money to perhaps hire more talent at the time, maybe. Possibly, if it didn't change if it didn't affect my independence. I don't think I would be changing too much, other than learning a little bit of business. Thanks, Joe. That's a good question.
Well, let me ask you another question. This business is all about people, right? And I'm gonna imagine that the journey's been a learning process about people and who you partner with and how you combine all these factors. Again, talk to the 25-year-old in our audience here who wants to start a business. And yeah, technology is important, business is important, but what have you learned about people that you might want to pass on?
Today's society, I mean, especially today's society where we're looking for an instant gratification. They think a pill's going to solve a problem. And if they're not willing to put in the hard work, they'll never be successful. Or they might read that somebody got successful. That's one of a trillion, maybe, not doing the hard work. That is kind of a lottery winner. So people sometimes do not have the patience to, nor the guts to do that. And
The
they need to be
resiliency.
the
Yeah.
resiliency. So they need to be driven by their gut. And if they're driven by what they like to do from a purpose standpoint and putting money secondarily, and then it becomes fun for them to build what they're looking to do. And if they're willing to do that and work hard and accept failure and come back and try to win, that's did I answer your question, Joe? Sorry.
Yeah, I think the question's about the kind of people you surround yourself with, right? You've got a really high performance team, really high integrity people around you, but I think you've learned through the years about that. Maybe what stories can you share about the kind of people that we should, associate with when we start a business?
Well, you definitely have to associate yourself with people that have the same purpose and values you have. People that are driven. So if you are, let's say you believe in a certain things and you associate yourself with a belief in a completely opposite thing, you guys are going to come to a clash sometimes downstream. So you got to be upfront. So when you're, whether interviewing people, meeting with people, you got to share with them, here's my values, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Are those yours? Are you willing to do that? And if they're not, it's completely okay. So those are the people you got to surround yourself. And hopefully those people are people that are, at least to me, people that are willing to make mistake, accept failure, accept constructive that kind
Criticism.
of stuff, and continue criticism and improve themselves.
Right.
And learn, continue learning. At least this is from our side. Katie, you have a question? Jessica or Katie, or sorry.
No, that's okay.
Our audience, looking at our audience here, I just noticed. I think our audience have.
We don't have
Katie, are there any
anything
questions?
Nope, nothing in the Q&A. So Brian, if you have any other additional thoughts, or Jess or Joe, if you have any other follow-up questions for Brian, now would be.
I just want to thank Brian for this time. And really thank you, Katie, for organizing this, and Jessica, thank you for those great questions.
Thank you.
I've known Brian for almost 40 years at this point, and he's the heart and soul of this company. And I think this company is going to continue to grow and really do great things. And I thought this was a great chance for us to get together and hear a little bit about the why. I know Brian likes the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. But Brian has his own why, and we really kind of wanted to give us a chance to kind of expose that, because a company is really all about the people that make it up and what the motivation is behind them. So I don't know, Brian, anything else you want to share about that? Like, what makes them?
So my thank you, Joe. I appreciate. I like helping people. Sometimes people say, well, how do people see you? I'd like people seeing us as the Robin Hood of IT, trying to help them improve their business so they become more successful. That's really who we are. And I go back, if I'm able, because we're ahead in many ways, and be able to connect with the business owners, show them how much control over their business they will have by leveraging our services, versus being a victim of technology, and especially the businesses that they heavily depend on technology today, so they can't really afford not to. I know, I got to make more, effort into convincing people. We would be an easy slam dunk. So as a company, we are going to continue to look at things this way. So we continue to, innovate. There's a lot of new products I can even mention. There's, we're looking to challenge VMware and their product. We have a product that does that. We have some private AI products, and all these that are going to be not only more cost-effective client, but also giving client, I said Robin Hood, giving client more control over their technology, where they are not held hostage by a monopoly. When I mentioned earlier, I did talk about, as a kid, I've always sided with the person that's being wrong. I don't like bullies. I don't like monopolies. So that's my driving purpose, and we were going to continue building technologies that challenge these things. So hopefully people that are listening to us enjoyed what's in my gut, and if they have any questions, they can always reach out to me. Thank you, Joe and Jessica. And Katie.
Yeah, we actually do have some questions coming in, though.
Oh, good.
Yes, we have a few that came in. The first is, what are the company's core values, and how do you motivate and inspire your people to live by them in their work and in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, our company's core values are, I always say, trust, teamwork, and transparency. Trust is really accountability. Accountability. You know, a lot of times in this world, especially in today's world, there's so many lack of accountability that's happening at every level with our some of our politicians, you know, people they just expect. And so if people take that accountability seriously on the personal level, whether their health, whether their relationship with their colleagues, their spouse, their family,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. I believe those are, those all breed trust. And by having these type of this kind of stuff, I think you're going to have a healthier, more successful environment. You know, teamwork. You know, you say, Brian, hey, Brian, you're a very smart guy. You know, I'm as smart as my people. You know, the people that work at Advance2000 are very smart people. I'm as smart as they are. So you have to have smart people around you to work with you and understand your values and share your values so they can work from their gut. So work is not actually work for them is not actually a job. It's actually something they would enjoy. So you know, you have those type of people and you know, a part of your team, and then you really have a great team. And the transparency, sometimes you have to have talks with people to tell them what you feel. And if I have a hard time telling one of my colleagues how I feel about things, or you know, share with them, you know, some of my challenges, or I'm worried about that, then we really don't have teamwork. Those are our core values. One of the things I also drive to a lot of our employees, and you know, they all work hard, and I tell them, you know, when you do work hard, it's great, but do not forget, you know, there's priorities in life. I sent it to them. I said, if I just work hard and ignore my health, I wouldn't be working hard for so long. Life is a marathon. So I tell them the priority should be your health first, your family second, and work third. And if you don't take care of that first priority, you will not
Right.
have the other two. So those are things that are some of my beliefs. And again, I'm sharing openly with people, but hopefully people get to know what I believe.
Well, there's one more question here, Brian. What do you see happening in the near future in the AEC industry? And maybe you can give a little description of Advance2000's focus on the AEC industry.
Sure. I do. So in the AEC industry, which is an industry, you know, we're heavily, a lot of our clients are heavily in. They struggle daily. They have, first of all, if I look at the industry, there are a lot of struggles with. There's a lot of competition. They have overruns. Their project. There's a lot of stress. Hiring talent, again, those are struggles that these industries have. So if I look at technology has to become an enabler for them. So you have to, you know, we want to be this company that helps them to do a lot more with less. So as we move forward, not just from a basic IT standpoint, you know, we are looking
Right.
at ways, whether leveraging, you know, people I would say AI. There's a lot of things we can do without AI, and even leveraging AI, ways to basically improving the AEC industry. Example, I'll give you one little example. You know, we developed this product to help protect their company's data that they have, like example, Autodesk forces everybody to be on, for the most part, be on the Autodesk cloud, which sits on AWS, which recently had a huge outage. And so we developed a product to disaster recovery, the Autodesk, you know, cloud, again, to help our clients, because many of our clients showed interest we're looking at ways to basically, with leveraging AI and other technologies, to try to make the people that are designing in that industry be able to design more with less, be more efficient with their stuff. So we're looking at ways right now, again, leveraging AI, leveraging smart tools, and others doing that. And we continue providing that industry besides your regular IT, and which I do want to mention in the AEC industry, or even in the legal industry, for every full-time employee, for every user you have for every 35 users, average 35 users working for you, you need like an IT person to help manage. So if a company has 100 users, they need like almost 3 IT people. I mean, give and take. It's 100 to 120, like 3 IT to basically be in the best. And sometimes IT people, they have to hire vendors to help them out. And with our industry, with what we've done with our IT, we allow the IT staff and those AEC companies to be able to manage a lot more with less. And not needing a lot of vendors, not needing a lot of human resources on the IT side, and all that. Now, we're not looking to take over the IT person's job or anything like this, but they can do more with less. At the same time, the IT guy that's struggling, he or she can have, they have a partner with Advance that can help them. Like if you look at, for example, our other clouds, like if you look at AWS, you got to hire more staff, skills and talent, which you don't have. And most of the time, these companies, like whether law firm or AEC firm, they're not technical enough to even recruit the right staff. So they're so buried with their own work. They don't technically. Many times they think they recruit right, they recruit the wrong people, and so on. So I look at just the return on investment and the value that we provide. Again, if I'm a business owner sitting at an AEC firm, I'm running a firm, 300-400 user firm, and know exactly what the value is, where we have to do a better job ourselves of translating that value, then it's a slam dunk to say, well, this is where I need to go, and here's why. And now I'm in even more control of my IT and technology that can help me grow the business. Hopefully, Joe, I answered your question. I don't know who answered.
No, I think it's a great answer. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We have one last question right now. It says, how do you balance innovation with operational stability?
So, yes, it's okay to make mistakes because without mistakes, you cannot innovate anything. So it's okay. So I let people, we have built labs and we build things so people make mistakes, but we can't cowboy anything. So what we try to do is, test things in many lab environments. And whenever we can, we try to bring customers to test with us. Like we have these products that are going to actually replace VMware. We just replaced Citrix at a client that they would have had to spend over $1.6 million. We end up saving on all that money. They didn't have to spend it on Citrix, with our innovation. So likewise, in here we have some stuff that's going to be replacing. Again, one of those giants that's trying to hold people hostage. I call it like a bully. And so we will be using our clients to help us in this testing effort, as carefully as possible, so we don't cause them to have hiccups that could be detrimental to their business. And again, I always say it. I think someone else said it. Steve Jobs said it. If you want to be in the IT business, expect that road to be bumpy. If it's not bumpy, then you're not innovating anything. Now, we got to be very careful how much bumpy we can make, just because we get mad at us. So we work extra hard not to make things too bumpy.
Perfect.
Any more
Great
questions?
Don't see any.
All right.
Back to Katie.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Brian.
for being here. And thank you everybody that took your time out to watch this and learn more about
Thanks.
our history and future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. You will receive a copy of the recording of this session post-event. Please feel free to tune into any of our social media channels or follow along on our website or contact us here for any further information on Advance 2000. And stay tuned for our announcement coming for our December webinar, which will be focused on total cost of ownership. Thank you again, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.